Coach Brown from Nelly X-Teen, and Nelly says, considering the roster is presently constructed, do you have an idea who Coach Brown would be more likely to start? And Kevin, I want to ask you about that, not as if like you're predicting here, but just based on what you know and what you know of the Knicks roster and Brown, you think he would go double bigs, Robinson and Towns, or do you think he would go a different direction?
I would be a little surprised if they went double big. Although, see, and I know I'm kind of contradicting myself because Mitch can kind of make up for some of Cat's defensive deficiencies. I remember when Gobert got traded to Minnesota, I asked a former coach, well, who's Karl Anthony Towns going to guard? And the former coach told me, he's going to guard the same person he always guards, nobody. So I know, so yeah, double big at least, you'd have an opportunity to make up a little bit for the defensive deficiencies, Cat, as far as a big. So yeah, that makes sense. I think he'd do that.
And Shaun, I thought it was interesting because Kershaw and Yabusele, I was told one of the topics that came up during discussion was the idea that he's so versatile coming off the bench that he could back up, both bigs, Mitchell Robinson and Karl Towns. And the inference there is that's the way, I guess, some people see them starting out next year with those double bigs. Obviously, Mike Brown wasn't even hired yet. It's going to be his decision. It's not going to be, I would assume it's not going to be anybody else's final decision but his. But I thought that was interesting that was at least part of the topic of conversation with one of the free agents. And Shaun, I want you to take a stab at this one. NYK mentality, 1985. What's the plan for Mitchell Robinson under Mike Brown? And the question here is, will Mitch be load managed throughout the entire regular season in order to have him 100% healthy for the playoffs? Shaun, you've been following Mitch closely his whole career, through it all. Injuries, exceptional play when he's healthy, learning on the floor. Do you think the Knicks should have a plan in place here where he's playing 60%, 70% of what he normally would do in a regular season in order to have him ready to go in the postseason? Or do you think they just go as anybody would and have him play regular workload?
First off, I want to say from the last question, shout out to Nelly, Knicks Twitter Day scorekeeper, stable in the community. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Nelly. And as far as this question, honestly, I think that maybe like reduced minutes, like not playing him 30 minutes, maybe giving him 25 minutes a game to keep him fresh throughout the year. But I don't think we should be like sitting him too often. Like, when he came back this season, he wasn't playing back-to-backs, and that's because he wasn't like fully in shape yet. And I also think it kept him out of rhythm and kept the team out of rhythm a bit. So I want the team to have some continuity and consistency. So hopefully we can get him on a consistent regimen, like a certain amount of minutes per game every night. I think that if he is healthy, we shouldn't necessarily treat him like he's not.
I think that's a fair point. It's going to be. I mean, the Knicks, they were able to avoid injury for the most part last year. I mean, Jalen Brunson hurt, but they, as teams kind of saw their key guys go down and in inopportune times, the Knicks stayed healthy. So I don't know if that could be replicated, but certainly that's a big part of success in this league, and we'll see how they approach it with Robinson and everybody else. And we've got a question here on YouTube. Oliver Schlesinger is checking in from YouTube. Thoughts on the Giannis quote? Thoughts on the Giannis quote saying we'll see about staying with the Bucks. There was a quote from Giannis several weeks ago about wanting to win a title, wanting to do it with the Bucks. That was from an overseas outlet, and he gave a reaction on social media after the Bucks acquired Miles Turner. Just in talking to people in the aftermath of the Turner move, if they were betting, they would bet that Giannis would go elsewhere because that's the way it's kind of been trending for a while now, and that the Turner acquisition wouldn't cause him to stay in Milwaukee. Does the Bucks have anything else up their sleeve in the offseason? Are they going to make any other big moves to bolster that roster? They're pretty limited flexibility-wise, but I don't know. The consensus from my conversations, and again, people are people from other teams are speculating, call it informed speculation. They just didn't think that Turner would be enough to keep him in Milwaukee. And the idea that, he hasn't really, they haven't renewed their vows, so to speak, Giannis and the Bucks yet in a public way. Obviously, with his quote there in that stream, he's still thinking about things. And, from a Knicks perspective, they and every other team, 28 other teams, are keeping an eye on this situation, seeing which way it goes. And the thing that's interesting to me, Mikal Bridges, extension eligible, has not been extended yet. And once you extend him, you can't trade him for 60 days, I believe it is. Oh, no, I think it's longer than that. You can't trade him for a period of time where if he signs the extension, the Knicks would have to go a different way, whether it was Anunoby or Karl Towns, to trade for a player like Giannis. So that's just something to keep an eye on with the Bridges extension. I think it's 6 months, 6 months. You can't deal him after he signs that extension. So that's one factor there. But with Bridges, Shaun, I think it's going to be interesting with Mike Brown and Bridges because different coach, different style offensively. Brown did say he adapts to his personnel in terms of what kind of offense he likes to run. But do you see Mike Brown being able to get more from Mikal Bridges, assuming there's no big fireworks with a Giannis trade and it's a similar group coming back? You see Brown using him in a different way.
For sure. I think Mikal was frustrated at times with his utilization offensively, and that's what I mean by being more imaginative. I feel like he was, kind of put in that role that we've seen a few people be put in the Knicks offense where it's like, stand over here and wait for something. And so Mikal is very capable of creating, but Mikal also needs to be more aggressive. I mean, just frankly, Mikal can't be allergic to layups. Every single time he drove, it ended in a fadeaway. He got a long pass in the Pacer series, and instead of laying it up, he took it out and took a turnaround fadeaway. It wasn't only Tibbs where Mikal wasn't able to do what he needed to do. Like Mikal just has to be more aggressive regardless of who's coaching. But I do think that Mike Brown can put him in some positions and situations to be more comfortable being aggressive.
I'm going to hit on one from my friend Papa Left, who's checking in on YouTube. A big fan of Papa on social media and in real life. Always good running into him. The Knicks no longer interested in Ben Simmons and Russell Westbrook. What's the status on a potential reunion with Shaman or Wright? I'll hit on those quickly. Simmons, they've continued to be in touch. I mean, as of late last week, earlier this week, a few days ago, I checked in, continued to be in touch there. Russell Westbrook, I'm not sure. There was a lot of talk of Westbrook in Sacramento. And so, there you go. So I don't know if that's going to come to fruition, but that was real. And I don't, with the Knicks, if they go 9, where would Westbrook be in that rotation? What would that look like? Can they go 9? Which I would think they will go 9. But what's Westbrook's role? So I think, it's more likely to be a Simmons type or you mentioned Shamet and Wright. I'm not sure about Wright. Not to say they aren't interested in him. I just don't know. But I know that with Shamet, there's still been interest. Again, I checked in a couple of days ago that she is still on their radar in terms of that last spot. And Kevin, well, first, Westbrook, where do you think the Kings are with Westbrook at the moment?
I think the Kings really like what his energy and intensity could bring to the party. So I believe they're very interested and they're still talking. They do have a glut of guards right now. It's one reason we're hearing, that the likes of Malik Monk and Devin Carter, maybe they're checking the value of them. I think they'd love to bring in Westbrook, and I won't be surprised if they do it. But right now, there's just not room for him on the roster, so they have to address that.
Right. And is there a Mike Brown type player, intangibles or on-court skills? Is there an archetype that Mike Brown, likes or always kind of wants to sign or trade for?
I don't know. The guy who comes to mind is, obviously he just loved Draymond Green. Now that's not really an archetype because he's so unique, but he just, I think he was looking, like I said, he tried to make Sabonis in a way, at least in the offensive end, something of a Draymond Green. So he just really appreciates players that can play at both ends. And I think, like I said, I'm repeating myself, he's going to love some of the wings that you guys have and what they're able to bring defensively.